So I've always wanted to make games my entire life because games are cool as hell, and seeing other people make games also looks cool as hell. But I've never really made games myself, other than a few projects I've done by following YouTube tutorials, and some stuff I coded myself, but not really actual finished games. The only game I've ever finished and released was back in early 2023 when I tried making a little game for a video on my old YouTube channel, but I never actually finished the video, and I quit my channel too. But I did finish the game though, and I recently published it on my itch.io page because I was bored as hell. But be warned, it sucks. Anyways, after that monstrosity of a game, I've always wanted to try again and make another game, but I just didn't have any ideas. My ideas are either generic, copied from another game, you know, or just no idea at all. But that's when I came across something on the internet.
Let's go back to the basics. Let's do a game jam.
Game jams.
So a while ago, I found out about a game jam hosted by Brackeys. And if you don't know what a game jam is basically an event where individuals or teams would make a game within a specific time frame. In this jam's case, it would be 1 week. And usually they have these themes that are announced when the jam starts. And with these themes, people would have to make a game around that theme. They can interpret it in their own creative ways, and it's just a whole lot of fun. I figured this would be the perfect opportunity for me since I'm actually really dumb and uncreative, meaning if I try to come up with an idea without some sort of inspiration or theme, I would probably get lost and don't know what to make. In game jams, however, they have specific themes that would get me to actually use my brain and try to understand it and interpret it my own way and eventually make a game out of it. So here I joined the Brackeys Game Jam. The theme for this year's Brackeys Game Jam is nothing can go wrong. What the f? Okay, I have no idea what this is supposed to mean, but unfortunately, I gotta come up with some bright ideas to this. So I started brainstorming some ideas. At first, I just thought about a game where literally nothing can go wrong. Like maybe a cozy farming game, or a tycoon game, or maybe a game where you try to die, but you can't because the world loves you too much and tries to stop you from dying. Okay, that's actually kind of a good idea. I don't know why I didn't stick to that. But anyways, after an hour of coming up with absolutely nothing and having a quick dinner, I finally came up with something that probably seems a bit generic, but I kinda like it. My idea is that nothing can go wrong means that you can't do anything wrong, meaning you can't make a single mistake or take a single hit or else you die. You see where I'm going with this? Basically, I'm thinking of a fast-paced ninja style game where you die in a single hit, and I said hell yeah to this idea. So I opened up Unity and made a new project. So first of all, I added a square. This square will be our player character. I stretched him out and made him a rectangle, coded a simple player movement script, and then added a floor. Now as you can see here, you can move left, right, and you can even jump. Holy sh**. Of course, he's just a white silly square now, and I will draw a player sprite later on, but for now we'll go with this. Anyways, I had this very original idea of adding a dashing mechanic to the player. Basically, I coded the player to be able to dash towards whichever direction you're pressing. And as you can see here, it doesn't look that good because the player keeps falling off as soon as you dash. So I changed it up a bit, and now the player's gravity is turned off when you dash and turned on again after you dash. And now it looks a bit better, not gonna lie. It doesn't look the best now, but you know where I'm going with this. Now remember when I said I wanted to make a ninja game? Take a look at this guy, or thing, or square, whatever. Does he look like a ninja to you? If you say yes, you need to get your eyes checked. But basically, I'm going to make a sword, so this dude actually has a weapon to work with. If you're familiar with me and the 0 videos I uploaded, you probably know that on everyone's soul, I am the best pixel artist to ever walk this earth. So I went ahead and made a sword in a sprite, which took me like 3 hours, and put this amazing sprite into the game. And I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't fit. It doesn't really sit right with me, like the sword is too fat, too detailed and I looked at other pixel art games with swords, and I realized that their sprites aren't actually complicated at all. So I spent 3 more hours remaking the sword, and this time decided to draw a smaller and sharper one with less detail that I totally didn't trace from anywhere. Like, hey, you know, it's totally, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm liking this one a bit better. It's a small sprite, so it fits the game and the player and more and all that. Now of course he looks a bit weird now because my guy doesn't even move his sword, so I made his sword point towards the cursor position. Right now I don't really have a specific mechanic in mind that relates to this, but it just looks cool, you know. Now this ninja guy here is looking kinda lonely. He's got a sword but no one to use it on, just like me. So I made an enemy, and when I say enemy, I mean I copied the player and made him yellow. Then I decided to change up the dashing mechanic again and make it so you dash towards whichever enemy you click. And I think this is a better approach for a fast-paced game like this, because you know, you're gonna be moving around a lot, and pressing buttons to dash to your intended direction would be kind of a pain in the ass, so making them clickable would be much better. After that, I added a few more enemies, and here's how it looks like for now. I haven't made the enemy die yet, so now you can kind of just endlessly give back shots to the enemies. Then I added some post-processing to make up for the overly simplistic squares I use here. Now of course I feel bad for the enemies, because right now they are defenseless and can't really fight all the back shots and diddles I'm fiddling, the diddles I'm diddling. So I gave them a gun. This gun is actually a sprite I made a few weeks back, but I just recolored it and made it orange. Because why not? Reduce, what's it called? Reduce, reuse, recycle, guys. Then I made the gun rotate towards the player, so the enemies basically have aimbot now. And yeah, I know what you're looking. That gun looks upside down. Boom. Now it doesn't. Then I drew a bullet. Yeah, it doesn't look like a bullet. It looks more like a circle, but trust me, it works. I was going for the enter the gungeon bullet look, and I think I kind of failed, but whatever. I put it in the game and then made a trail particle using Unity's trail system, not particle system. I spent way too long on this, and I think this took me like, I don't know, 4 hours. Just look at this. I eventually got the look I wanted though, and I'm not gonna lie, it kinda resembles a bullet now. After that, I made a script that makes the enemies fire a bullet every few seconds. This script is actually pretty simple. Basically, you have this shoot cooldown timer that ticks every second, and if that cooldown hits 0, the enemy will shoot a bullet, and then the timer resets. So let's see how this goes in game. Okay, apparently I set the cooldown to 0, so I changed it to 2, and here it is in action. I figured it would be cool if the player could slice or break the bullets using his sword, so I added a collider to the sword and made the bullets disappear when it touches the collider. Just like how my friends would run away when I touched them. Whoa. After that, I made the camera follow the player, but also made it so the camera would kind of follow the cursor around to make it easier when aiming at enemies further away from you. And all you gotta do to achieve this is just add an empty game object, attach a script, add a threshold variable, make its position always in between the player and the cursor, but stop when it reaches the threshold. Then you make the camera follow the object, use Cinemachine for smoothing, and there you go, you have some dynamic camera thing. Also, dashing kills enemies now, so that's cool. Right now, the only form of attack we have is dashing. And it's weird because right now we don't have a normal sword attacking mechanic. So I decided to do that. So if you left click, your sword will swing. Yeah, it's a swing. It looks like shit. But don't worry, I'll fix that using once again Unity's trail system. I made it red because it's cool and it looks fiery, bloody, and shit. And here's how it is in game. Now instead of the enemy's bullets disappearing when you touch it with your sword, now it will disappear only when you're attacking with your sword. Now some of you might not prefer this idea, but I definitely do, so f you. This trail definitely makes the sword animations look a lot better because it's basically just the sword rotating, but now it has a cool effect, so yeah, thanks to Unity. Also, now I made it so you don't have to precisely click on an enemy to dash at them. I added a radius around the cursor, and when you right click, the player will dash to the enemy nearest to the cursor but within the radius. So now it's easier to click. Now we also have trails on the player when dashing, so it doesn't look like he just suddenly starts floating mid-air. I mean, he still looks like that now, but at least he looks a bit cooler now. And this is how the game looks so far. Oh wait, Now that we got the core mechanics down, I went ahead and made a test level with some platforms and stuff and a bunch of enemies. Also, I finally changed the background so it's not blue anymore after ages. As I was messing around with the gameplay, I noticed that you can actually dash towards multiple enemies at once. And I figured I actually want to embrace this idea since it looks cool, looks fancy and stuff, and it's stylish. This is a bit buggy though. Sometimes when you dash towards multiple enemies, there's usually like 1 or 2 left out. depending on how many enemies there are and also the range in between them. Now, I'm not sure what the problem is, but I think it's because of the frames. I don't know though. My solution is to actually just space them out and not add too much on these sections. So it's not a good solution. It's still very prone to error, but come on, it's a game jam, okay? Also, as you can see here, I'm actually endlessly dashing without any cooldown, and I like it because it keeps the fast pace of the game. But that means the game will be too easy. So my idea is the cooldown shouldn't just be a cooldown between dashes. Instead, I came up with the idea of adding a small time window between dashes, meaning when you press the dash button, the time window will appear and you can use this time window to perform another dash, and the time window will reset and you can perform another dash and blah blah blah. You can do it endlessly, and only if you fail to dash again within this time window, the actual cooldown will start and you will have to wait until you can dash again. Now, you probably didn't understand any of that because you're dumb and brain rotted, but whatever. Basically, dash fast, don't stop. But anyways, here's how the chain window thing works. Right now, the timer just appears above the player's head, which looks hella goofy, but I'm gonna change that later and make it into a UI thing. Now that the game is coming together pretty nicely, we can finally start making levels. There is one problem though. We don't have a lot of time, because by this point, I actually only have like, 2 days left? What the f? We need to get to work. So first, I started writing down ideas for the levels. I originally planned out 6 levels, but spoiler alert, I didn't have any time, so I cut it down to only 4 levels. After writing, I went ahead and started making level 1, which is basically an introduction level and kind of a tutorial. You learn to move, swing your sword, slice bullets, dash, basically all the basic shit. The goal of each level is to kill all the enemies, cause them. I also added lava at the bottom of each level, and also LMAO if you die on the first level because you suck. And then I added some world space text for the guides because I think it makes the game a bit more immersive, even though it doesn't look immersive at all. It's literally just shapes and swords. But yeah, here's level 1. Now for level 2, players are introduced to the chain dashing mechanic I added earlier. You come out of your room and you're suddenly told to be quick. What the f? Level 3, you get to dash at multiple enemies at once, and for some reason I decided to code a jump pad like 9 hours before the deadline, but to be fair, the game was getting a bit boring, so I guess the jump pad was worth it. Maybe. Also, in the middle of making level 3, I decided to go outside and I saw this fancy looking house on Google Images, and it had this tilted looking rooftop, which I thought it was pretty fancy. So I decided to add that kind of rooftop at the end of level 3. And now for the 4th and final level, you continue from that rooftop in level 3 and you see enemies above the rooftop. And wanna know what's above the enemies? Another tilted rooftop, and above the rooftop more. So yeah, in this level I decided to just go all out with the enemies. Now remember when I said I added a jump pad? Now we have enemies jumping on the jump pads. I added more enemies here and there, and after that I decided to add another huge ass building with another huge ass tilted roof, and this time with even more enemies and flying platforms. After you defeat all the enemies in level 4, the game ends. Yeah, you go back to the title screen. It's not satisfying at all, but come on, I only have 3 hours left. I haven't even added music. Oh wait, while I was making all the levels, I realized that I have a friend who could make music. So I hit him up to make some music for the game, and boy oh boy, 2 hours before the deadline, he came back with a banger. I'm not gonna lie, what can I say? He cooked with this one. And I think the soundtrack is way too good for this mid-ass game. So go check the man out. Go show him some love. His name is Senna or Senna, I don't even know. But he makes absolute bangers. Link to his SoundCloud down below. And with this, we finally got some audio in the game. Unfortunately, I did not have time to add sound effects. So yeah, that's sad. But at least we have music. Now that we're so close to the deadline, I decided to just do some minor tweaks to the game. These changes are incorporating the chain dash thing into the crosshair. But yeah, after all this, I don't think I could do any more, so I decided to just export the game for both Windows and web, publish the game on itch.io, and submit with 19 minutes left on the clock. What a close call. So what happens after you submit a game to the Game Jam? Well, when the timer reaches the deadline, everyone is given another week to play, rate, and comment on other games, which is something I did as well. But yeah, after the voting period was over, my game placed 335 overall out of 2,183 entries, which is not bad in my opinion, especially since it's my first Game Jam. I'm not the most proud of what I've done here. There's definitely room for improvement, such as sound effects and an actual player model instead of these squares, but whatever, it's my first jam. It's a lesson to be learned, and maybe or maybe not I'll continue this game. Let me know what you guys think. You guys probably don't care because you clicked off at 2 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds. I know you you. This journey of my first Game Jam was definitely really fun though, and I definitely learned a lot along the way, such as how important time management is, which I definitely didn't had, and it also taught me to actually use my brain to come up with ideas related to the theme, so that's cool. And I also learned a lot about game dev in general. You know, it's pretty cool. But yeah, anyways, that's all from me. If you want to see more videos, subscribe, like if you like, dislike if you dislike, comment if you comment, and join my Discord server. I got some pretty nice and chill people on there. It's not that bad. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.